Yeah, John Fitch here, longtime MMA fighter, world champ. Um, I'm currently going through a divorce. Red pilled as far as relationships goes in the last couple of years, but I've been woke for a while, and I've always been going against the grain, so to speak. But yeah, here now I got sons, so I want to help fight against feminism because it's destroying masculinity. It's destroying our future. Everything great in the West was built by masculinity, and we need to bring it back.
Absolutely.
And this article you sent the other day, posted on Twitter, um, it's disturbing.
So let's
Uh,
go ahead. Give me a update again
yeah,
real quick. Actually, let me do my little intro real
yeah.
quick,
Do
and
your
then we'll
intro.
talk about this whole thing. Actually, I wanted to ask you one question before we got in the article too. All right, everybody. Hey, what's up? My name is Corey Capella. I am shit. I'm a former United States Marine Corps veteran. I served 9.5 years. Went to Iraq, Afghanistan, got blown up, watched some friends die. Came back, opened up my own CrossFit gym, only to work 80 to 90 hours a week without ever really receiving a dime back because I was so used to, a lot of people don't talk about blue pill conditioning and understanding that, a lot of us look at blue pill just in the perspective of male female relationships. But blue pill is one of those things where you as a man value yourself less than your surroundings. So what does that mean in terms of when you do go to run and start a business, when you do go into relationships, not just with a
Mhm.
significant other, female, but also your interpersonal relationships with your friends, with your business colleagues, and so forth. So I was completely fucked. And it comes from just this upbringing of never being raised with a value, with or understanding my own value. So I hit rock bottom soon enough, and after deciding to actually continue my life rather than taking my life, I began a red pill journey to uncover the truths that were kind of the shadow veil over my entire life up to that point. So that's what the red pill was for me. What we're here to do today, what we're here to do in doing this, is we are here to talk about the conversation, the serious conversation about the state of our culture, because mainly what this is really affecting the way that everything is going on, whether it be the media, whether it be the school systems, whether it be our law, whether it be even any political affiliation. Men have been subjected to just being the doormats and not having the voice that they need to have. And that's mainly because our civilization has decided that masculinity is the plague and it needs to be rid. We need to do away with it. So what are we here to talk about? Well, we're here to talk about how masculinity is actually a phenomenal thing, and it's actually the thing that creates civilizations. And what we're here to do is start to help men realize and wake them up to the fact that in order for us to get back to, and you know what? A lot of people are out there saying, hey, screw the West. I'm in the same boat in a way. Let's move in a different direction, but let's move in a different direction where it is a masculine culture and we get guys together that want to belong with each other in a way and create a tribe that's beneficial for the overall happiness. So that's what we're all here to talk about. And the other thing that John and I like to talk about as well is the keyword smash. You can see it right behind him. And we like to talk about not just beating people up in the ring or fighting jujitsu or doing whatever, but it's also smashing chicks. So that's what we're here to talk about. Anyway, John, I wanted to ask you a quick question just because I know there's a lot of listeners out there that are looking to get into personal growth and development. And, I had a question earlier on. A lot of people come up to me because I'm a rather large guy. I'm pretty well muscle bound. And everyone comes up to me and they're like, man, what do you do for a workout? Like, what is your routine? How do you balance the two? How do you balance being a fighter with staying physically fit as far as not being injured and being able to move and stuff? What does your routine look like throughout the week?
So, because of my career and because of the work that I have to put in just to do my job, I had to, start thinking differently about how I do a lot of stuff. Um, hiking on weekends and shit like that becomes, too much for me because I've done so much work during the week.
Right.
So, I can't just do like, kind of like the average stuff. So I mean, but as I've kind of this summer played around with the idea of not fighting anymore. I've kind of stuck to just kind of lifting and eating right. The biggest part of staying in shape is diet. You got to stick to your diet. I find that meal prepping, meal planning is the best way to do that. 90% of my meals are pre-planned, pre-cooked, and they're nutritious. But then that gives me, 5 to 10% of the time I can eat, cheat meals, and it allows me a chance to go out and have fun on the weekends. I think the most important thing for anyone to do, including men, is to lift weights. You need to lift weights. Resistance training is the most important thing you can do for body composition. It's going to help regulate and keep your testosterone levels high. Um, it's just going to make you look better with your clothes on and off. It's just something you need to do. You should find time to lift at least two 30-minute sessions a week. I don't think it's asking too much. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to be a bodybuilder, but you need to do some form of resistance training. We lived in a gravity-based environment, and if you're not at least doing push-ups, you're letting gravity win. You're ending your life early. It's going to pull you into the dirt sooner than you want to be.
So what does your split look like? What's
So
your weekly
one of the
split?
things that I've had to do because of the nature of MMA is I started lifting like a martial artist because
Mm.
and I think this translates into regular life and regular people's jobs because not many of us can like go to the gym, go to failure, you know,
Mm-hmm.
have our legs shaking or whatever, and then go do the rest of your day of work
For
or come
sure.
back to work the next few days. Like we can't wipe ourselves out like that. For me, I had to come back and do another workout a couple hours later, and then do another workout a few hours after that. So like I couldn't just do like max squats and then expect to get the rest of my workouts in. So a lot of other guys, I was doing some online coaching to a guy who was like a plumber, right? So he did like a lot of industrial like pipe fitting and plumbing. So he's carrying shit around big buildings all day long. He didn't need a workout where he's like doing max bench. So what I do is I try to lift more days but shorter periods of time. And then my weights aren't super heavy. I'm doing moderate weight in order to do it explosively. I want to be able to
Mm-hmm.
thrust through it. And then I shift the exercises. If I get bored with them, I can rotate, right? So like my bench can be normal flat bench. It can be decline. It can be incline. I can do weighted dips instead. Um, or I can, lay on the ground and do a bench from there. So like there's a lot of different ways I can change that lift, and then I can switch it up and do dumbbells instead of a straight bar. So like you can modify your lifts a lot. But I have my blog on my lifting up on jumpfish.net, and I list the lifts I do and um, what days I do them,
Yeah.
and I think I have video breakdown, my YouTube videos of each of the lifts. They're really just basic, simple lifts, but I find that consistency is the key with the lifting. So the more consistent I am to those lifts matter more than the amount of weight I'm doing or the variety of lifts I'm doing. Um, I could quite honestly say if you only had time to deadlift, twice a week, like
Mm-hmm.
then do it. That would probably get you in way better shape, way healthier, and keep your what do they call them? Your end caps, your DNA will
Telomeres.
your telomeres. Yeah, it helps keep your telomeres long. So you're fighting aging. Just
Yeah.
just do something. Pick up something heavy.
Absolutely. So just to give all you guys out there an understanding of who I am when it comes to lifting, I've been lifting shit probably since I was about 17, 18 years old. I'm 34 now. And I was the guy earlier on who was just like, I want to fucking lift big. I want to lift huge. I
Mm.
remember when I first joined the Marine Corps, I first saw, like, obviously you grow up watching some of these bodybuilders, but you don't know them that well. But
Mm-hmm.
I was stationed in Okinawa for my first duty station, and they said when I first got to the island, they said, prepare not to have sex with anyone for the entire 2 years that you're here, which was a lie. But they said you're either going to come out as one of three things. You're either going to come out, I believe it was a computer nerd, a bodybuilder, or a Bible thumper. And I definitely came out of there as a fucking bodybuilder. So I got big into bodybuilding. I think I deadlifted my most during that time frame of like
Mm.
755. Um, I was like fucking leg pressing like 1,600 pounds. I was squatting over 500 pounds easily at the age of like 22 or 21. I got big. I got big. That's really what I was doing. Huge back, huge arms, huge chest, all that stuff. But as far as being a Marine was concerned, that was fucking awful.
Hmm.
Because we got to do these physical fitness tests
Yeah.
of, um, yeah, I like your body weight stuff, enigmatic elephant. But the thing with you, from what I've
Oh,
seen, is that you have. We got a question here, pretty much. He's like, I'm a top tier body weight athlete. Should I start lifting, or am I already reaping some of those benefits via lifting my own weight? One thing that I noticed, and that's what I'm about to get into. So I started to get into functional fitness after I did the whole bodybuilding thing,
yeah.
and incorporating GPP, general physical preparedness, and that's what led me into like military athlete, and then I eventually crossed over into CrossFit in order to get into like the whole CrossFit competitive bracket. And I loved CrossFit because it was constantly varied, all that other good stuff. It went away from the bodybuilding, your typical, 4 by whatever, and all that
Hmm.
good stuff, and it brought you into something that was more real. Now, on top of adding in gymnastics components and running and also an Olympic lifting, which I fell absolutely in love with.
The Marinovich type training.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Enigmatic Elephant here is talking about I'm a body weight athlete. Should I start lifting, or am I reaping those benefits via lifting my own weight? What I've come to realize is this. I go through stages and phases now. I was solely a CrossFitter for 5 years, and that created some serious chemical imbalances and some serious physical imbalances on top of just stressing my CNS, my central nervous system, out by going way too hard all the time. In
Hmm.
your younger years, you can afford to add that time under tension onto your central nervous system because you're so elastic at that point in time. But if I were to redo it, if I were to redo the whole thing, I would lift exactly like how John is kind of talking about it. But I don't know if that's just because he and I have been through so much now that I can't put that much tension on my body.
Hmm. We're
I do
also to
jujitsu. What's up?
we're also to a point where, yeah, where we're calming down a little bit,
Right.
and we want to maintain kind of like the place we are, rather than getting huge.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get up to 230
I
yet.
could maybe deadlift.
BMIs.
I could probably go in and deadlift over 500 pounds right now if I wanted to. Just because my muscles there, my mind body connection is there. I have that old man strength still, and I've done it before. Um, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go in and deadlift over 500 pounds every single week. Otherwise, I would be a fucking I would be a mess. I couldn't do other things. So now I'm at a stage in my life now where I need to be well rounded and well balanced, on top of being able to manage my energy when it comes to dating, when it comes to my own personal relationships, when it comes to my business relationships, and then being able to grow in all of those areas as well. So I
I
can't
think.
go in the gym every single day or even 5 days a week and fucking blast my chest and
Yep.
then the next day blast
Say,
back, and then
what are you trying to accomplish? I think that's
right.
part of it too. If he's, enigmatic elephant, he stops by some of my live streams sometimes. I follow his Instagram. He's probably 195 pounds, 6 foot, 6'1", and he does
Yeah.
this handstands, bouncing stuff. Amazing.
Yeah.
I couldn't, I can't do that. So, like, I mean, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to? I want to be buffer. I want a bigger chest. Like, why? If are you competing? Are you getting on like men's fitness magazines because you're one of the best balanced body guys? You know what I mean? Like, what's your ultimate goal? If you're specializing in that thing because you're going to profit off of it, I think that's smart to stick to. But like for me, specializing in lifting right now doesn't do shit for me. I'm not going to be a competitive bodybuilder. I'm not probably going to be a competitive bodybuilder or
Right.
body physique type guy,
Right.
probably, unless I did a bunch of drugs and whatever. But like, it just doesn't make sense. But like doing basic workouts that build my fundamentals and maintain my fundamentals, that allows me to build other stuff off of that. So, just that lifting base, that's why I kind of look at it as like martial arts. It should be looked at as hygiene. Um, I don't spend 6 weeks brushing my teeth really hard with charcoal and then spend 8 weeks, using Crest. Like I just right? Like you want to, it's more about consistency. You know, you make
Right.
sure I brush my teeth the same amount every day. Floss every once in a while, something like that.
For
So
sure.
I think that is just easier to tackle too, because it becomes less about motivation. It becomes, oh, it's 2:30. It's time to do my lift.
Right.
It's just what you do. You get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you eat breakfast. Well, now you also, you have a set of time per day, set time per the week where you go and you lift, and that's just part of your hygiene.
Yeah. There are cycles for sure. And I'll kind of give my basic as to what I do as far as my workouts are concerned. So before, like I said, I was just monodirectional, where it was just CrossFit 6 days a week, usually working out like 4 hours a day. It was insane. I destroyed my hormones. I destroyed my central nervous system, destroyed joints and ligaments. Now I'm at the state where jujitsu is kind of my foundation in a way for like what I do to compete and get some of that energy out, while
Hmm.
also giving me a skill set for
Yep.
protection and all sorts of other stuff on top of bonding with other guys and having that kind
Yep.
of like brotherhood and all that stuff.
I mean
My
that
lifting,
I
sorry.
think I think of it as, I think that should be considered hygiene, right? So
Yeah,
like for millions of years, men grew up roughhousing and learning how to defend their
right,
village. Like
right,
that's so to take that away from people because of industrialization, I think you're robbing a core element of who we are as human beings. So
right.
get
So,
out, find some kind of combat sport to compete in, and that'll take care of a big mental part of your health and your
sure.
physical part too.
But the downfall is though, and especially when you're younger, those things can become very addictive. Where you're like, this is my identity. I am going to invest 100% into this. I'm going to go become a professional Muay Thai fighter or MMA fighter or whatever. For
Mhm.
me, I used to be that way. I get it. When I was younger, it was like, fuck it, let's rock and roll. But for now, at 34, I'm like, all right, jujitsu 3, 4 times a week, ideal for me to continue this for the rest of my
Mhm.
life, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm trying to do. On top of getting in the gym at least 3 to 4 times a week as well to hit different types of lifts. And when I get into the gym, what I'm doing is I'm separating my body parts up into those 4 days, and I'm getting in there and I'm always supersetting everything at a moderate weight. I'm not going in there to crush it and build muscle. I'm going in there to get a good pump and to make sure the biggest thing is what I'm doing is I'm going in there now to make sure that I have the proper balance between the muscle, ligament, and tendon. And this is what goes wrong with people when they start getting into the extreme sides of things of like bodybuilding or crossfitting and stuff. You start to forego things in life that you need to understand are important, like balance, right? So now if you look at my physique, you'll be able to see a balanced structure because I am focusing on lifting that's going to build and repair, and then my jujitsu is another way to like keep me lean and to be
Mhm.
in fighting shape, which is a completely, now most people underestimate this. People do not understand the type of shape you need to be in order to fight. It's completely different because you go into this thing called panic mode and it shortens your breath. You can be like, when I got into jujitsu, I was a fucking top level CrossFit competitor, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking walk all over these people. The first guy I fought was like 190 pounds. I was 225 or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, plyometrics is pretty awesome. I would still say though, for you enigmatic elephant, get in there and still do some like shoulders and some chest and some biceps and different stuff like that, like lunges, for instance, where you're doing multi-joint stuff, just to make sure that the ligament, tendon, and musculature stays in the
Mhm.
right balance. It's almost like a rehab, and it's just kind of nice to get in there and keep things kind of chill. It's preventative medicine for the high impact stuff that you're doing, because over long term you'll start to see that. So that's the way that I try to do things, guys. There's going to be phases that I go through though where I'll invest more time into jujitsu,
Mhm.
where I'm like, man, I'm really fucking crushing and I'm really thirsty for jujitsu, and I'll start doing like 5 days a week. But then my gym time will kind of suffer. Just a little bit, maybe 3 days a week or whatever. And then there's
Mhm.
other times where I'm like, all right, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to dwindle down on the jujitsu right now. I'm going to get into the gym 5 days a week because I might have another goal going on. Like I might go
Mhm.
run a Spartan race and a
Well,
bunch of other
yeah,
stuff.
you could have you just have an annoying injury that's not going away. It's like, I'm
For
gonna
sure.
screw it. I'm gonna take 6 weeks and I'm gonna focus on lifting and do yoga.
Right. Absolutely. Now, Titan Alpha asks, hey guys, what's your take on the paleo diet and others like it in terms of building mass and negative side effects? What do you got, John?
I don't know. I don't read diets. I don't know anything specific about the paleo diet. Other than it's kind of bullshit because nothing that existed in the Paleolithic era exists now. So
Hmm.
you can't be like eating dinosaur meat. But anyways, what it looks to be the key in a lot of these things is high protein eating meat
Hmm.
and low
Okay.
carb, and then virtually no sugar. It seems to be across the board works pretty well. Depending on your energy output, then that carb is going to fluctuate. But I don't know anything about paleo for weight gain and muscle gain. I know that if you want to get size, you need to lift a lot and you need to eat a shitload.
Hmm. Absolutely. So, obviously, in my CrossFit days, I was paleo for quite some time. For about 3 years, I really tried to just stick to the true and true paleo, like the primal side of things, of like less than 50 grams of carbs a day and all this other stuff. And I was trying to get all my carbohydrates from like sweet potatoes, and that was about it. So, like, no rice, no wheat, none of that stuff. How about just your guys' methods of building mass, protein supplements? Any info would be helpful. So that's what Titan Alpha is asking. How about just your guys' personal methods of building mass, protein supplements? Any info would be helpful. Um, you
Eat
know,
more, 8 to 10 meals a day.
you're going to want to go to a 2 gram per pound of body weight, per pound of lean mass on the protein scale in order to gain. If you're not taking creatine monohydrate, get creatine monohydrate and start taking that. And in order to gain mass, you're going to have to sacrifice your leanness for the bulk. And unfortunately, that means, protein synthesis does not occur without carbohydrates. So you're going to want to be like, before you go to the gym to lift heavy, you're going to want to have at least 50 grams of simple carbs. And then after you lift, you're going to want to have carbs directly with your protein to get that glycogen into your blood system and obviously to enact protein synthesis. So, highly, highly, highly recommend you look into obviously taking a lot of protein. Like, for instance, I was having I'm 235 pounds. When I was at my heaviest, I was at 270, and I was eating probably around 300 plus grams of protein.
Mm.
And then everything I did, I tried to keep clean, but it's hard to do that when you are eating 8 times a day. So I mean,
Yeah.
if you're gonna want to get big, you're gonna sacrifice body fat too. You're gonna probably end up going up into the 18% body fat if you're looking to bulk. John and I, it's no secret with John with PEDs or anything like that, and I've taken steroids as well. A lot of people sit there and they'll talk about this stuff, and it'll be a taboo subject. But in my perspective, the supplement industry is a multi-billion-dollar a year industry for a fucking reason. You can go and get something like Muscle Tech. What the fuck is Muscle Tech's creatine? I don't know if you remember the name of that. But it's like a $50-$60 supplement, and you're only going to gain, a little bit of weight or a little bit of muscle. Whereas you can go and get a fucking vial of Test Sip for $75 that's going to last you fucking 5 weeks, and you're going to see far more gains. But now you're starting to really mess with your hormone profile. So it really depends on what
Hmm.
you're trying to do. If you're trying to gain the mass and you're going to invest into it, I'm the type of person that really truly believes in either pro hormones, SARMs, or steroids, plain and simple, as if that's what you're trying to do. But if you're trying to be like enigmatic elephant over here, who's like, I am a lean, mean fucking machine that does bodyweight stuff, then I say rock and roll, just natural stuff, natural supplements.
Hmm.
Um, I'm open to whatever people want to do, right? It's just depending on, we're cars in a way. If you want to be a fucking Prius, go be a vegan, right? But if you want to be a fucking drag racing top notch fuel fucking
Hmm.
car or whatever, you're going to have to fucking supplement in the fucking gear. But you got to realize, the Prius is going to last for fucking 200 years. But the top fuel car is only going to last, 10 years maybe. You know what I'm saying? Depending on, then I'm
Hmm.
talking as far as personality and persons are concerned. So that's kind of where, like, those are the decisions that you're going to want to make. I mean, anytime someone gets into here and wants to talk about building mass and getting big, go and watch the Ronnie Coleman documentary before you really decide to start throwing on more muscle. Because the more pounds you put on, the more weight you're going to be putting on your joints day to day, the more you're going to be straining your fucking CNS. That's more fucking tissue that you got to create and all that other stuff. So I'm getting to the point of lifting, but no masking. Go ahead.
Focus on being consistent first. Be consistent for a couple of years, and see where you can get where you start putting gear and stuff in here.
All right, he gave us a little background just to let you know. He said, I look like an Ethiopian sprinter for my frame, and I'm 39. I mean, at 39, you should be looking into TRT anyway, to be honest with you. So I would look into something like that. Instead of fucking running cycles and going hard and putting a lot of steroids in, I would say run a TRT cycle. And that way there you're going to get the steady. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel more confident. You're going to put the size on that you want to. And then let's let Enigmatic Elephant ask another question. Can I hear your argument for keto? I heard you can't do high protein. It's only real keto if you're super high fat, low carb, and lowish protein. A lot of people call it a fad diet, and carbs don't. You got any input on keto?
Like I said, like I've only my depth of knowledge of keto is listening to my friend Kyle Kingsbury do a podcast a long time ago. It's like I don't look into these things. I know what works for me from what I've worked with my nutrition coaches and people. So that's what I go by. You know, I have high fat, but I don't know what the definition or what the cutoff is for. You didn't have enough fat. I don't have a name for it. I have the Fitch Smash diet is what I'm on.
Perfect.
You can ask me. You can ask me about that.
In my book, Live Your Best Life in 30 Days, I talk about nutrition quite a bit. And there's always someone who's going to come out with a fad, and then there's always going to be someone who's going to ask questions as to does this work? Does this work? Does this work? Now, the thing is, this is all epigenetically based. You have evolved. Your genes have evolved in a certain location in this planet, right, where the primary diet stuck around for 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 plus years, right? I'm from the Mediterranean, which means I do best with a diet that has no preservatives, that has more fish, and I'm eating a lot of natural fats. Okay, so high protein, lower carbohydrates, and the type of carbohydrates that come from there. Essentially, and this is where I'm trying to go, is I'm actually trying to find someone where we can literally, no kidding, draw blood and test food samples and find out the right diet. For keto, for me personally, I was able to get down from 18, 19% body fat down to 12% body fat. But from the 12% down to the 10% body fat, I was never able to get there because those fats were just not able to get me there. So I had to do something different, like a bodybuilding diet. That's the other thing you need to take into consideration. There are different stages of metabolism for where you're at body fat wise, right? You can use one diet to get down to a certain level, but then if you're trying to get to another level, you're probably going to have to shift because your metabolism has changed. So as far as keto is concerned, I like the idea. I like how I feel. Yeah, nice. Good, yeah. So try to do something along those lines, and then never be scared to risk some of your money to go to talk to like an epidemiologist. That's what I want to do. I want to get to a point, and this is where I want to go in order to build. John and I are talking about building like a seminar for men. And what I'd essentially like to do is be able to bring guys in where during our seminar, we're able to like swab and be able to like run tests right then and there where you could walk away with at the end of it, a no kidding, hey, these are foods to stay away from. Here's where your carb spread should be and all this other stuff so that you can have those questions answered. Because far too long in my life, for the last 20 years of my life, I've been trying to play with diet and find the right one. But wouldn't it be nice to actually sit there and say, all right, cool, this is perfect for my hormones. This is perfect for the body fat level that I want to be at. This is perfect for the energy levels I want to be at. And it's perfect for the skill sets, I guess, necessarily of like what I'm outputting, what type of lifting I'm doing, what type of MMA or whatever martial arts you're doing, whatever type of, I guess, what's the thing I'm looking for? Whatever your output is, right? So that's essentially where I'd like to go, is build a program to be able to help people in the physical department there, because that's going to carry over to so many other things as well. What are your thoughts, John?
Yeah, no, very a big part of it because my ex was Vietnamese, so there was definitely certain for foods and things that she had a reaction to. So
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
one of the things I'll keep a mind on and pay attention to with my sons. So far, so good. Like most of the meal prep I make, they're able to eat without problem. Um, yeah, so
And your
they
kids
get
enjoy your meal prep stuff.
yeah, for the most part, because I mean, I don't give them a choice.
Right.
Like, what? Okay, like, okay, don't eat. You don't like my ground beef? Don't eat.
Hmm.
No snacks. Go to
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I don't know. I do not understand people who are,
Who kowtow to
uh,
their fucking children's little
yes,
fucking
about there.
emotional.
It's a child. I used to
Yeah.
get in, yeah, arguments with their mother about this. I was like, what do you mean you can't make them go to bed? What do you mean you can't make them eat their food? They're children.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you mean you're too lazy to sit next to them and watch them eat it all? That's what
Yeah.
you mean.
Yeah.
Like, if it takes like I've taken 2 hours and sat there for my kid to eat his food by himself. I
Right.
could have buckled and fed him and then had them go and
Give them
done whatever.
goldfish. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's been times where it's not even a case of them not wanting to eat the food. They just don't want to feed themselves. Like they're
Right.
much older than this now, but like
Right.
there's a
Right. Right.
time where they're like, why, what's this fork thing? What are you doing? You feed me, right? So
Yeah.
then it's a battle of wills.
Yeah,
Of
for
like,
sure.
no, you're old enough to do this yourself. I've seen you do this.
Yeah,
If you don't want to eat, then don't eat. I
for
have
sure.
stuff to do.
Yeah,
But a
absolutely.
lot
And
of
that
people just aren't that strong to like draw the line there,
absolutely.
which is kind of wild.
That's amazing. Now, we were talking about this a little bit earlier too. You brought up that article that I posted.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I'm not gonna switch over like I did last time because every time I switch over to pull up articles, you get cut off. So I'm
Mm,
worried that that's gonna happen. I gotta fix some things on there. But
yeah.
you're talking
Yeah.
about the
When you posted it the first time, like I just kind of glanced it real quick and rolled my eyes at it
yeah.
because it was a guy who posted it. Of
Oh,
course.
it was
A
brutal.
Vici mail, is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what Rolo calls them as Vici
Vici
males.
mail. I think that's perfect.
All right, let me see if I can find it here.
But yeah, just the premise of the whole thing is just the idea that we are split into two groups, oppressed and oppressors. That's all human beings are, is oppressed and oppressors. You fit in there some way or another. And it's just what an ugly, sad existence to believe that that's the world you live in.
It's
Like
terrible,
just
isn't it?
yeah,
So
to like just oh my god, I'm so oppressed. This is slavery. All of life is slavery. Everything we have today is the result of slavery, basically. It's really just an ugly way to live your life.
yeah, so what John is talking about right now is an article posted by this
Mm.
doctor, and it was actually you texted it to me, didn't you?
I just shot you
Yeah.
another
All
text
right,
of it.
so the
Yeah.
website that you could go to check this out is called
I, I got it on my screen right
thebodyisnotapology.com.
there.
The body is not an apology.com.
And
Think it's not just
it's a
hang on.
shared article also from everydayfeminism.com.
Ugh. So the title of this article is think it's not or think it's hashtag not all men question mark. These 4 facts prove you're just plain wrong. And actually, you know what? I'm actually gonna.
What's funny is they don't bring up a single piece of evidence the entire article. They're talking about proof. Proof. In order to prove something, you have to show evidence. At no point in this article is there a single graph or chart or statistic at all. But yet,
Oh yeah, it is
somehow
posted by
there's proof.
Everyday Feminism. Awful, awful. All right, so here's the number one thing that they say. So I'm not even gonna get into the intro because I'm sure it's just blah 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 blah. Make no mistake when you use the phrase "not all men," whatever. Okay. Number one, all men are socialized under and benefit from patriarchy. Here's the truth. Most of the time, when we generalize and use the word men, what we're actually referring to is the effects of patriarchy. What we're actually intending to communicate when we say men are horrible, for instance, is the ways in which men are socialized under the patriarchy, as well as how that benefits them and disadvantages everyone else, sometimes in violent ways, is horrible. But that kind of mouthful, isn't it? Or that was kind of a mouthful. So we use men as a linguistic shortcut to express that. Okay, they're just going to keep going on and on about that. Let's
So,
talk about that point right there.
well,
All men are socialized under the patriarchy.
the truth is everyone benefits from the greatness of patriarchy,
Right.
the safety that patriarchy provides to women and children, the life that's been provided to everyone through society forming and creating laws and inventing things that make life easier. Um, we owe everything to patriarchy.
I agree. So I'm currently writing a book right now. And I mean, I'm delving deep into this stuff. And I don't want to give too much of it, but I might as well. Why not? Flirt with you guys a little bit. In the mammalian sect of the species, the mammalian species, there are 5,412 mammalian species. Of those 5,412, there are maybe, and this is a long shot, there are maybe 7 of them that are considered matriarchal. That's the same thing across the board with most any species that identifies as having male-female. Is those species are dominated. And I don't know, the percentage breakdown is what, 98.8 of those species are patriarchal. This is nature. Nature evolved to create an XX chromosome and an XY. If you look at nature, the zygote, right, initially starts off as XX and then mutates into an XY, which means that creation of males was a genetic evolution that was necessary for what?
Survival.
The survival of the species. The species that most people quote and bring up when they talk about us being closely related to a matriarchal society is the bonobos.
Yep.
And I fucking hate when people bring up the bonobos because why? You got to do a little research into the bonobo society.
Because they're hoes.
Well, basically. Exactly.
And they use sex to to deflate any tense situation.
So everyone fucks everyone. The guys are super beta to the point that
fuck the women more than they have sex with the guys.
It's disgusting. Yeah, I mean, as far as how a society should be structured, it is absolutely abhorrent because there's no real structure. It is the whim of whatever happens. It is literal chaos.
They have just as much or more violence than the chimpanzees.
For sure. And the thing that people don't understand is this, though, John. They don't understand that the bonobos, in order for them to be created, they live in a small location that is devoid of any natural predators, and all of their resources are provided to them. They are in a fucking Goldilocks zone. And the unfortunate part that people don't but the thing that people don't understand is that is not human nature. We are always going to compete for resources. And we are even reaching a point in the world today where people are starting to get more and more scared because resources for each and every individual are becoming more scarce. Plain and simple.
I've been looking everywhere. Maybe somebody can help with this, but I've been looking for this article I read that talked about like the genetics passed down through the different ape species. And even though, and it was like the bonobos too proved to be the same. It's like, even though they had sex with everybody, there was still a structure of an alpha male who fathered most of the children. I've been looking for this paper everywhere, or whatever, the article for it everywhere, because it showed that gorillas, chimpanzees, bonobos, humans all had the same similar tree effect of like one or two males fathering a majority of it. So there's something going on, even though in the bonobos it's matriarchal, they know which guys are the better providers of genetic material.
For sure. It's
that is something. Sex with everybody, they actually get pregnant by the alphas, which is
people fail to recognize that we still are animals. Human beings are still animals, and we still have some form of instinctual.
I've gotten in arguments with people about that we are
Right.
not animals.
We are.
And,
We
and then
still have instinctual stuff going on. Our subconscious is still operating there. Oh, I lost you for a second.
there'll be an atheist too.
What was that?
Oh, sorry. There'll be like an atheist too. Like I fully believe in yeah, evolution. There is
Right.
no creator, but we're blank slate and we're not animals.
Right. It's crazy. Um, the the bonobo society, like what we're talking about, though, just goes to show that these people that are so obsessed with reconstructing America into a socialist society, believing that everything is going to be equalism to the
It's
fullest extent, and there's
what
not going to be
sounds
any
good
hierarchy, is not
versus what is
possible. Nature is created in a hierarchy. That is part of the genetic code. That is part of evolution. We came from something. We're going to evolve into something. Humans are a stepping stone for another form of creation. And there's going to be a hierarchical structure based off of that. Even in a socialist society, there's still a hierarchy. That's why. And the worst part of it is you put all of the power into a government who then has the 100% monopoly on violence, and guess what they end up fucking doing?
Yep, violence.
Right? Like they just
But
continue
if
to kill.
you, it doesn't even have to be a government. If you go and do some history, let's look up some history of the different times they tried to create utopias within
Hmm.
America. Like there's a several eras within our past where, people popped up on big plantations or whatever and um, tried to have a utopia.
Yeah.
Everybody's equal, and in every single case, whether it was 15 people or 100 people, dominant personalities rose to the top, dominated everybody else, and then it became some kind of freak show, uh, socialist nightmare.
Hmm.
And people had to escape to get away. Or you have like Jamestown, where like everybody gets convinced to drink Kool Aid.
For sure. There's another cool documentary on something like that too. It's called Wild Wild Country on Netflix.
Yeah,
Check
I
that
watched
out.
that.
Oh,
Yep, I
it's pretty
watched
good,
it.
dude. It's pretty fucking
Yeah,
good.
but
Um,
it's same idea. Like that's one of those times, one of those eras where people were really interested in these peaceful communes where they created their own area where it was nice and safe and everybody was equal, and it never happens. Like
no.
somebody always rises to the top, and then some weird freaky sex stuff ends up happening every time.
The biggest issue is if you're not prepared. Yeah, these ideas that everyone could be equal is always going to leave a vacuum of power. And the problem with power vacuums is this: anytime you don't equate for that, someone with, I guess, on the dark triad, people with those dark triad personalities are always going to rise to that top. It's better to start off a society or a structure or civilization with people that already take the roles of leadership and say, yeah, I am the leader, but you can see my track record. I am benevolent in these areas, right? Enigmatic Elephant just brought up the point of the founding fathers,
Yep.
right? People were attracted to those guys because they were true leaders and they had the
It
right.
was well, and they knew how contemptuous and slimy human beings could be,
Right.
and they were like, "We're gonna make sure that no motherfucker ever dominates and controls us ever again."
Right.
So like, we created a freaking checks and balance system that makes it really damn hard. And as corrupt as our politicians and corporations are, they still haven't fully been able to fuck up our government. Like it's still pretty
It's still
pretty
pretty
great.
bulletproof up to this
It's
point.
pretty great. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of laws that don't get enforced, but it's pretty great. And that's from, ages of being dominated and being slaves. And, like people don't understand that
Right.
when you had kings and queens, when you had feudalism, like you were a slave. Like the plantations were much larger.
Yeah,
Like you didn't own the land. You
you
didn't
didn't
own
own
the
property.
land. You
You
didn't
didn't
own
own
the
shit.
horse.
Yeah.
You were property of the king. And if he wanted to take your kids or take your wife or do whatever, he did. And there was nothing you could do about it.
Right.
It was much different than, a small scale plantation. But what do you think those plantations learned how to work? They watched the kings and queens and the lords in Europe do their thing.
Slavery has been around since the fucking day. The day we realize it's
Pyramids built
easier.
it.
Absolutely, dude. I
The
mean,
day that one strong ape found out that he could make a weaker ape do his work for him.
for sure.
Yep.
Oh my god. I'm looking at the sidebar of this. 3 differences between the terms gay and queer and why it matters. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
All
like
right,
the
number
stuff that
2.
pops up because you're on that site.
Oh, so bad. All
Yeah.
violations. Number 2, all violations, big and small, are all part of the same violent system. So it's funny that women always, and I have to say women and generalize because this is coming from a feminine perspective of masculinity.
Mhm.
They only put violence in the breadbasket of men and don't believe
Yep.
that women are violent whatsoever. But
Possible that a woman could ever commit violence.
it's, well, dude, this is something I wanted to really bring up today too.
There's
I don't
that
know if
chick
you
got off for murder from
the
burying her
fucking
baby.
girl,
the other
yep,
day.
she buried
Oh my
and burned her
God.
fucking baby. She could have had an abortion, but she fucking kills a human being, right?
did it
And
in
she
the
got the fuck
backyard.
off, dude. And then, dude, I don't know if you saw this other one, but the woman that, and this is a nonviolent crime, but so be it. What was the actress that just got accused or got found guilty of paying for her daughter's SAT scores to be altered?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She's getting 14 days in jail for this.
Oh,
Then,
is that it? They're going to throw away for like a decade for a little bit. They're
dude,
trying to scare the shit
it's
out of her. They made her a
insane,
plea
insane.
deal, huh?
Fucking insane. Now in Britain, what they're doing in England is they're actually fucking Sadiq, the Prime Minister of London, is making it a law that women are no longer, for any violent crime, no longer having to go to jail. They're going to go to therapy instead.
Oh my God.
Dude, so it is complete and utter blue pill men that are fucking structuring our law systems.
Yeah.
And they're saying,
They-
oh, well, women, you know,
They're
when
trying
they
to
do
they're trying
violent...
to please mommy, or they're trying to touch some boob.
Fucking terrible. But these women aren't being held accountable for any of their actions. And it's, you know,
No.
they're showing case studies now that women are just as violent as men, if not more now, because we're letting them get away with their fucking actions, that they're doing these kinds of crazy things. And if you start to look at this stuff, you're starting to see the level of violence that they're going through escalating. I don't know how many videos I've seen recently of girls that are literally fucking beating the shit out of their boyfriends in public, smashing their phones and doing all sorts of stuff. And the guy is just standing there. Like,
Yeah, he can't do anything. Can't even defend himself. Defends himself.
but they're conditioned to believe that it's not causing them any harm. They're like, oh, okay, I'll just sit there and take it, and then we'll make up, and she'll have sex with me later on, and then I'm going to have to deal with this bullshit. Dude, if someone is causing you physical violence in any way, shape, or form in a relationship, you need to fucking reach down, grab your fucking sack, and leave, dude. You need to leave.
If they're causing you, in my opinion, you should be raising your level to such a point that if they give you any type of static, you should just walk away.
Agreed.
Like, why would you deal with that?
I agree, dude. I'm in
Why
that
would you
boat
deal with any
100%.
of it? Like the point that it would escalate to a point where it got physical, you fucked up a long time
Long
before.
time ago.
Long
I went
time
out I was dating this one chick recently, fucking super cute Cantonese woman. Love me some Asian chicks. But, you know, I vetted her for probably about 2 months. We were having wild sex and all that good stuff for quite some time for
I
those
bet
2
for
months.
7.5 years, it still wasn't enough.
Oh, dude, crazy. We never really went out on a date. And we went on our first date. And I fucking, you know, you and I are different in this area, but we went on our first date, like 2-on-2 to go get some fucking food. And I did my thing. Like, I always sit on the same side or caddy corner to her and all this other stuff. And I fucking people watch. That's what I do when I'm out in public.
Yeah, it's a great date tactic too, because girls like to see that you are funny and you can spot details and stuff.
Absolutely. And I got a text message like a day later, and it said something along the lines of like, hey, I don't think that we should date anymore or whatever because you have wandering eyes, and my ex had wandering eyes that led him to want to cheat on me. And, you know, the entire time she's trying to get me into a relationship with her and all this other stuff. So
yeah, she's trying to lead you down. Yeah, she's trying to lead you down a path.
What she's trying to do is she's trying to ultimatum me in a way.
Yeah.
You have wandering eyes, and that means that you're not going to commit or you're going to cheat. So in a way, what I'm asking you to do is commit to me now, or else I'm done. And it's like, okay, well, first and foremost, what she did initially was she had me check out a girl. She's like, hey, what do you think of that girl over there? You know, and then the next day she's accusing me of having wandering eyes. It's like,
Set you up.
that's a red flag. Number 2 red flag is the fact that she fucking decided to use, what was the term that I just used? Ultimatums. If someone is giving you an ultimatum, right, that's a place of weakness. right? Which isn't a terrible thing, but if that's also a signal of someone who is not able to communicate in a proper way. It is in a way a threat. And I don't deal with people who are going to threaten me. She should have vocalized something. Hey, listen, I notice you do this. You know, what's your reason for it? Or let's have a conversation about it. You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, that's healthy.
Not
And I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm fucking, yeah, absolutely.
You did a bad thing.
I'm people
You're
watching.
a bad boy.
I'm people watching. That's what I do. And I'm also not paying 100% attention to you, which is essentially what she's trying to get me to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I know you only got a little bit more time left here, so I'm trying to rush through these last two. So all violations, big and small, are part of the same violent system. Obviously, you know, men are violent, women are not. That's the good think, right think kind of things right now. The impact of your actions is more significant than the intent. Oh, this is just
freaking insecurity.
Yeah.
Right.
It's well again. You bring up guilt and shame. This is the ideal person. You know, women. This is what women do. Women attack based off of what. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but they call themselves a gender minority.
What the fuck?
They're calling themselves a gender minority.
To a gender minority, there's a very little difference between the impact of inadvertent and intentional harm. A man who makes you feel unsafe by accident is as harmful to you as one who does it on purpose. So this is like this whole microaggression bullshit too.
Yeah. So this is the exact behavior too, though, that makes a girl not want to fuck you. Right? Oh, are you okay? Is this all right?
Yeah.
Comfortable? Would you like to overhear? Is the fan too strong? Is the lights too bright?
Yep.
Come at a girl with that and fucking watch her panties get on extra tight, and she's got somewhere to be in the morning.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
This is the exact opposite of like, you want a girl to like you, you want a girl to go on dates with you, you want a girl to blow you. No,
never listen to a girl's advice.
You make her feel a little. Yeah, never listen to a girl's advice on how to.
Well, this is the thing, and you know, I wrote an article recently. It's about this desire from women to be 100% comfortable 100% of the time, and how they think, especially in the world today, women feel as though that is their right. They feel it as a right to be 100% comfortable 100% of the time, which means, you know, people don't realize that we've elevated women in our society to think that they are of such high regard, of such high esteem, that they no longer believe that they should ever feel any form of adversity, discomfort, anything. It's to the point you always hear women complaining, oh, that guy's manspreading, that guy catcalled me, that guy did this, that was sexual harassment. Well, shut the fuck up. Like, you are not entitled to not have these things happen in your life just because you're a woman.
Complaints about men are complaints about betas. Women aren't ever going to complain about me manspreading. Never.
Yeah, but they're not gonna complain about you coming up to them and saying, "Hey, listen, I think you look absolutely beautiful, and I'd love to get to know you further."
I'm not one of the guys they're talking about here.
Yeah.
they don't want creepy beta males.
Yeah, they don't want neckbeard fucking mouth breather coming over and being like, "Hey,
they don't understand that if you want the attractive guy to approach and talk to you, like, you're gonna have to deal with some not so attractive ones.
It's fucking insane. Yeah, so never listen to this advice. And I love the point that you brought up in the beginning here, too, because this isn't something that could be codified. This isn't something that can be measured. And this is something that does not have any even fucking statistical evidence. This is just drivel. This is emotional drivel coming out.
There's not even an opinion. Sometimes they'll ask opinions of people. Oh, we asked our readers type of thing.
Right.
So that's a bullshit statistic, too. They throw that in there to try to fool you. Like, opinions matter. No, but they've added zero evidence whatsoever. You know, they're talking about things being dangerous. Where's the statistic that says, you know, the guy who gives you a compliment is putting you in danger?
Right.
How do you measure that?
Right. Well, here's the other thing too, and this is what I'm pushing back against as well, is women want men. They want men that are bold and confident enough to come up and approach them and be like, "Hey, what's up?" Mm-hmm. But the thing is, we're creating a society now that is making it and constraining it to the point that men are scared to do this. So women want that guy, like you just said, right? But they don't want the beta to do it. But the thing is, you're going to have to wade through some betas in order to have that fucking guy that you're really interested in come up to you, right?
They don't want that. They
You
think they
don't have
deserve
right. You don't
they
have the
deserve the
right for
best
fucking
possible guy just to
constantly.
show up out of nowhere and take care of them.
Well, and this is, I mean, we could bring this back to why do women have such inflated senses of sexual market value, and that comes down to Instagram and filters and
The
fucking
thirst. They have a larger pond to fish in than they used
exactly.
to.
The box of dicks is constantly
That
fucking
box
knocking
of
at their
dicks.
door. Exactly.
It used to just be the guys in the neighborhood or lived on your street. But now it's now
Right.
it's everyone who has your at.
Exactly. The last one, number 4, the depth of work to be done is avoided by most men. Now, she's
Because
partially
it's
whoever
bullshit.
wrote this.
She's partially right.
She's partially right, but the thing is, again,
It took 2 women to write an article this bad.
right, yeah. But the thing is, you don't know, and the depth of the work is something where the goalpost is constantly going to be moved, and you can see that from how
Yep.
this is written. You know, this is my job now. My job right now is to come up to men, and my job is to point out, and this is what John and I are doing. We're here to point you in the direction of the work that needs to be done, right? Women are going to sit here and say, oh, the depth of work that you need to do is you need to go to couples therapy. You need to constantly be there. You need to be emotionally available. You need to talk about your feelings, and you need to be vulnerable at all times.
You
And
need to act like a woman.
right.
You need to become a woman. That's what they're going to tell you.
Right. Whereas the reality of the depth of work is you need to be 100% responsible to yourself. You need to do the fucking work to make yourself as fucking high value as possible. And what does that mean? That means getting yourself in the best damn shape as possible. That means reading the books to start building your mentality up and understanding the world we're living in as far as the sexual marketplace is considered, and as well as the no kidding business marketplace to make yourself as financially fucking viable as possible. It's to get yourself in control of
gentlemen.
discipline, stoicism, and just no kidding fucking investing in yourself to the nth degree.
Yep.
And that means that means busting some ass, dude. Like going and hitting the hard things that you want
Being
to
your
get.
own center point of origin, I think, is huge. Like I talked about this morning with my guys. Like it's positive selfishness. There's a positive selfishness. There's a way to be positively selfish that helps
Absolutely.
not just you but the people around you. You know, if
I
I'm
think
selfish,
I don't know if I mentioned this book before to you. Go ahead.
if I'm selfish with how I keep my house because I want my house clean and put together right, that benefits me, but it benefits my children too.
John, you're only setting me up perfectly for this segue.
If I'm selfish about my work and the effort I put into it and the results I get, well, like it's only going to benefit my children and the people around me. The better job I do with everything I do, the more I invest into my shit, the better everyone is.
Hey, listen, you are pimping my book to the nth degree today because it's something that I talk about big time in there. I call it the oxygen mask theory. Obviously, everyone knows about that. The only way for you to be successful in life is to fucking put your oxygen mask on first. And then whatever excess you have in life is when you're able to give. But do not give. Do not be altruistic, which is the fucking worst word in the world to use right now. Because the beta is the altruist. He believes, and this is a fucking covert contract, if I give of myself to everyone, then I will receive back and fucking whatever. And this is some biblical ass bullshit too. It's a fucking lie. It's a myth. I lived under that altruist model for so fucking long and I never got anything back. And it wasn't until I sat there and said, God damn, I need to make myself the fucking focus. I need to be selfish with my time, my energy, and my resources. And then once I fucking do that,
and even
it's
your
the model.
rewards.
Absolutely. It's a model of fucking Dale Carnegie.
A lot of guys miss is you need to be your own reward system, right? If you are your own reward system, if you're the ones whose approval you're trying to get all the time, like you become more disciplined. Like you do things because you're like, man, I did it. I got up. I got up on time. I did my work. If you can be the guy that approves of yourself, if you're the guy who can hold yourself to it, like you're unstoppable, man.
Agreed. So at this point in time, gentlemen, if you are listening, please do give us a thumbs up, the old like. That is a nice free version of saying, hey guys, I appreciate your work. I love what you guys are doing, and I want you to continue. I do want to make an awesome announcement. You know, our first episode that we did just 1 week ago is well over 1,000 views up to this point. Our second one is a little bit over 500 views. That means people are listening and people are watching. I'm just not seeing the likes, guys. Likes and subscribes. That's going to keep us going. Likes, subscribes, and shares. Also, as I've already mentioned, Live Your Best Life in 30 Days is now available in paperback and on Kindle on Amazon. The link will be below. Also, at the same time, if you guys are interested at all in having personal one-on-one coaching, you guys can set up a time frame for us to have a one-on-one paid coaching call. That is also in the link below as well. And I believe that's all for the shilling at the moment for me. John, please go ahead. I'm going to put your links as well. I
Yep,
put your
just
links below in the last
check
one
most of
for.
my links. I've actually kind of got to get going because the kids have jujitsu.
Yeah.
But you can catch me the normal places, and I'll be around.
Yeah, John's book is in the description. Also, your Ballsy. What's your code for Ballsy? Is it Fitch?
Fitch, yeah,
Yep.
FITCH.
All right, cool. I'll put the discount codes in there for Ballsy. Oh yeah, one last thing. Our buddy John. John was recently on Modern Life Dating's podcast on Monday.
Yep.
He is running a body language mastery course. It is a phenomenal course for you guys to get into. This teaches you how to read female body language because women communicate mostly with their body language rather than their words. This is how you can literally tell what she's thinking and what she's about to do, whether or not your investment should be something to continue or something to cut off. Please do go to modernlifedating.com/body language if you're interested in this course. It is a limited supply and it is a limited time. You must register by next week to get into the course, so please do so. With that said, gentlemen, another phenomenal show. We will be back to you guys. Actually, sorry, we will not be available on Saturday because I will be going to a seminar this weekend. But we will be back next Wednesday at this same time. If you have any questions, please post them in the comment section below. Or you could reach me at Corey Capella on Twitter or Instagram, and you can reach John at johnfitch.net for any questions. Everyone, take care. Have a great week. See you later.
Laters.